The kingdom of Everlea lay cradled between silver lakes and emerald green valleys, a land where the morning sun painted the sky in golden hues and the night stars danced like lanterns above velvet skies. In the heart of this kingdom lived a young princess named Sofia, beloved by all for her kindness and sparkling imagination. Unlike other royals who were content with towering halls and jeweled crowns, Sofia carried a dream deep in her heart, a dream that seemed to whisper to her whenever she looked out across the horizon. That dream was to build a castle, not of stone and steel alone, but of hope, laughter, and wonder, a place where children from all walks of life could gather, where dreams would feel real, and where the impossible might be possible. She wanted to create the Castle of Dreams. One quiet evening, Sofia wandered into the royal garden, barefoot on the soft grass, her silken gown brushing against lavender blooms. The air was thick with the scent of roses, and the glow of fireflies lit her path like stars brought down to earth. She sat beneath the ancient willow of whispers, a tree said to hold magic for those who dared to dream. Sofia pressed her hand to the tree's bark and whispered, "Oh, willow, I want to build a castle unlike any other, a castle that will shine with joy and give hope to everyone who enters. But how can I, a young princess, make such a dream real?" The leaves rustled in reply, as though the tree understood. A soft breeze swirled around her, carrying a faint melody that seemed to hum in her heart. Then, a single golden leaf drifted down, landing in her palm. When she looked closer, she saw faint glowing letters etched across its veins. "The castle you seek will rise not from riches, but from courage, kindness, and the strength of your spirit." Her eyes widened. It was a message, a promise, and a challenge all at once. From that moment, Sofia knew her dream was not just a childish wish, it was her destiny. But building such a place would not be easy. She would need wisdom, allies, and perhaps even magic. The next morning she told her governess and the royal court about her dream. Some laughed softly, thinking it was a fantasy too grand for a girl so young. Others dismissed it as a distraction from her duties. But King Elias, her father, looked at her with quiet curiosity. He saw a spark in his daughter's eyes that reminded him of his late queen, who had once spoken of a land filled with joy and wonder for all. "My daughter," King Elias said, his voice firm yet warm, "if this is your dream, then you must chase it. But know this, dreams require more than wishes. They demand courage, patience, and sacrifice. Are you ready for such a journey?" Sofia stood tall, her heart pounding but steady. "Yes, father, I am ready." That night, she dreamt of shimmering towers shaped from clouds, bridges made of starlight, and gates that opened to fields of laughter. When she awoke, she knew her quest had truly begun. The first step was to seek wisdom from the kingdom's ancient guardians, the wise beings who lived beyond the Valley of Echoes. Legend said they held the secrets of creation and could guide those pure of heart. So, with a heart full of courage and the golden leaf tucked safely in her diary, Sofia prepared for her journey. Little did she know, her dream would lead her through enchanted forests, over treacherous mountains, and into realms where shadows tested the strength of light. For the Castle of Dreams was not only to be built in stone, but in the spirit of everyone who believed. And so, her adventure began. The sun rose bright and golden as Sofia prepared for her first great journey. The Castle of Dreams was still only a vision in her heart, but she knew that visions had to be strengthened with wisdom before they could ever become real. Her destination was the Valley of Echoes, a mysterious land where the kingdom's ancient guardians were said to dwell. These guardians were not ordinary beings. They were timeless keepers of truth, bound to the earth, wind, water, and flame. With a cloak of silver-threaded velvet wrapped around her shoulders and the golden leaf hidden in her satchel, Sofia mounted her snow-white pony, Leora. The pony was swift but gentle, her mane as soft as drifting clouds. As Sofia rode out of the castle gates, she glanced back at her father. King Elias stood tall on the balcony, his hand raised in both farewell and blessing. "Trust your heart, my daughter," he called, his voice echoing across the courtyard. The road to the Valley of Echoes was long and winding. The first days were filled with beauty, rolling meadows dotted with wildflowers, rivers that sang as they rushed over stones, and flocks of birds that soared freely overhead. Sofia's spirit was high, and every night she wrote in her diary about the dream she was chasing. But on the fourth day, the path grew dark and uncertain. Thick forests closed around her, their branches knitting together like walls. Whispers seemed to float through the shadows, voices calling her name in tones both kind and cruel. At first, she felt fear pressing against her chest, but then she remembered the willow's message. The castle you seek will rise not from riches, but from courage, kindness, and the strength of your spirit. Holding those words close, Sofia pressed forward. At last, after many hours, the forest opened to reveal a wide valley shrouded in silver mist. The Valley of Echoes stretched before her, vast and silent, and filled with an otherworldly glow. Every sound she made, her footsteps, the rustle of her cloak, even the beating of her heart, returned to her with haunting clarity. She dismounted Leora and stepped carefully into the mist. Suddenly, the ground beneath her glimmered, and four great figures began to emerge, towering but gentle, their forms woven from the elements themselves. The first was a woman of stone and moss, her voice like the rumble of mountains. "I am Terra, the guardian of earth. I hold the secrets of foundation. Without strong roots, no dream may stand." The second was a graceful figure flowing like a river, her gown shimmering with droplets. "I am Aqua, guardian of water. I hold the gift of adaptability. Without change, no dream may grow." The third was a man cloaked in wind, his form shifting like clouds. "I am Zephyr, guardian of air. I carry the power of vision. Without clarity, no dream may be seen." The last was a warrior blazing with flame, his eyes fierce yet kind. "I am Ignis, guardian of fire. I guard the strength of passion. Without fire, no dream may be built." Sofia bowed deeply before them, her heart beating with awe. "Great guardians, I seek to build a castle, not only of stone, but of hope and joy. Please, guide me on this path." The four guardians studied her carefully. Then, Terra spoke first. "If your dream is true, you must prove yourself through trials. Only by facing them will you earn the gifts you need." Sofia's hands trembled slightly, but she raised her chin. "I accept your trials." The valley trembled, and the mist swirled into shapes, labyrinths, rivers, storms, and fire-lit paths. Sofia understood that her quest had only just begun. Each trial would test not her strength of body, but her strength of spirit. And so, with courage in her eyes and the golden leaf close to her heart, Princess Sofia stepped into the first of her trials. The mist in the Valley of Echoes thickened as Sofia stepped forward. The guardians had set her path, and the first trial awaited. Terra, the guardian of earth, stretched out her moss-covered hand, and the ground beneath Sofia's feet shifted, forming a vast labyrinth of stone walls and thorny hedges. "This is the trial of foundation," Terra's voice rumbled. "Every dream requires roots that cannot be shaken. Walk this path, but beware. Many will try to turn you astray." Sofia's heart pounded as she entered the labyrinth. At first the path seemed simple, twisting gently through walls of ivy. She hummed softly to calm her nerves, her voice echoing back like a friend. But soon the passages grew darker, and strange shadows flitted across the walls. Then came the voices. "You are too young to dream so big. A castle of hope, impossible. Turn back, princess. Return to comfort." Each word pressed against her chest like heavy stone. Her feet slowed, doubt whispering inside her. She could almost see herself back in the safety of her father's castle, sipping tea while others laughed at her childish dream. But then she remembered the children of Everlea, their bright faces, their laughter, and their yearning for a place where they could feel safe and free. She clenched her fists and whispered, "My dream is not just for me. It is for them." The shadows faded, and the path brightened. Tara's voice echoed warmly. "You have passed the trial of foundation. Your roots are steady." The labyrinth walls crumbled into mist, and Sofia stood before Aqua, the guardian of water. The shimmering figure raised her hand, and suddenly Sofia was standing on the edge of a roaring river. Its waves were fierce, currents pulling in every direction. "This is the trial of adaptability," Aqua said. "Dreams must bend and flow. If you cannot adapt, your castle will crumble." A small wooden biche, Ouad, appeared, swaying precariously. Sofia climbed inside, gripping the oars tightly. The river roared with wild force, tossing her vessel left and right. She rowed with all her strength, but each time she thought she was winning, the river shifted, pushing her toward hidden rocks. Her arms ached, and tears stung her eyes. "How can I win against a river that changes every moment?" she cried. Aqua's voice drifted like a breeze over water. "Do not fight the river. Flow with it." Sofia paused, breathing deeply. She loosened her grip and allowed the current to carry her forward. Instead of rowing against the waves, she guided the boat gently, letting the river's rhythm become her ally. The journey grew smoother, and soon she reached the far shore, stepping out with renewed strength. "You have passed the trial of adaptability," Aqua said, her eyes shining. "Your dream can bend without breaking." The river dissolved into mist, and Zephyr, guardian of air, appeared next. With a sweep of his cloak, the mist became a towering storm cloud. Winds howled, lightning crackled, and Sofia was lifted high into the swirling sky. "This is the trial of vision," Zephyr declared. "Amid chaos, you must see clearly." The storm raged around her, winds pulling in every direction. Her hair whipped across her face, and her gown tore at the edges. Confusion clouded her mind until she could barely remember why she had come. But then she closed her eyes and thought of the castle of dreams, its shining towers, its welcoming gates, its laughter-filled halls. She held that image firmly in her heart. When she opened her eyes, the storm calmed. A path of light stretched across the sky, clear and steady. "You have passed the trial of vision," Zephyr said with pride. Finally the mist parted, and Ignis, guardian of fire, stepped forward. His eyes blazed as he raised a flaming torch. "Now comes your greatest test," he said, "the trial of passion." Sofia swallowed hard, knowing this trial would burn brighter than the rest. Ignis stood tall, his fiery presence casting sparks that danced like stars across the mist. The ground beneath Sofia transformed into blackened stone, glowing cracks running across it like veins of lava. A circle of fire rose around her, closing her in with the guardian of fire. "This is the trial of passion," Ignis declared, his voice like thunder wrapped in flame. "Without the fire of your spirit, your dream cannot survive. You must prove that your heart burns with the strength to endure." Sofia gazed at the flames licking the air around her. Heat pressed against her skin, fierce and unyielding. In the center of the fiery arena stood a golden torch, its flame flickering wildly as if resisting her. "You must claim the torch," Ignis said, "but beware. The closer you come, the more the fire will test you." Sofia stepped forward, the heat intensifying with each stride. Her gown began to singe at the edges, and sweat trickled down her brow. The fire whispered to her, just as the shadows had in the labyrinth, but these whispers were different. Why sacrifice comfort for struggle? You could live happily without this burden. Dreams are fragile. Let them burn away. Each whisper tried to douse her spirit, to convince her that dreams were not worth the pain. Her knees wobbled as the heat seared her, and for a moment doubt clawed at her heart. But then she remembered her mother's voice, long ago, telling her bedtime tales of hope. She remembered her father's blessing, his belief that she could chase her dream. She remembered the children, their laughter echoing in her heart. With a deep breath, Sofia placed her hand over her chest and whispered, "This dream is not a burden. It is my light." At that moment, the flames parted slightly and she moved closer to the golden torch. The fire burned fiercely, but instead of shrinking back, Sofia lifted her hands and embraced the heat. The flame roared, but it did not consume her. Instead, it flowed into her heart, igniting her spirit with a strength she had never known. Her hands closed around the golden torch, and the fire surged high into the sky, painting the valley with brilliant light. Ignis stepped forward, his fiery form softening with pride. "You have passed the trial of passion. The fire within you will keep your dream alive." The circle of fire dissolved into golden mist, and the four guardians reappeared, surrounding Sofia. "You have faced all trials," Terra rumbled. "You have proven your adaptability," Aqua sang. "You have held your vision," Zephyr whispered. "And your passion burns bright," Ignis finished. Together they extended their hands, and from their palms poured beams of light, green from earth, blue from water, silver from air, and gold from fire. The lights wove together into a radiant crystal, pulsing with warmth and power. "This is the Heartstone," the guardians said as one. "With it, you may begin to build the castle of dreams. But remember, Sofia, the Heartstone is only a seed. Its magic will grow only when joined with kindness, unity, and sacrifice. Build not for yourself alone, but for all who believe." Sofia accepted the Heartstone reverently, its glow reflecting in her eyes. She bowed deeply, gratitude swelling in her heart. "Thank you, noble guardians. I will honor this gift." The valley brightened, and the guardians faded back into mist, their voices lingering like a song in the wind. With Leora at her side and the Heartstone held close, Sofia turned back toward Everlea. Her trials had ended, but the true work was only beginning. For now, she held the power to build her dream, and the world waited to see what she would create. Sofia returned to Everlea with the Heartstone glowing brightly in her satchel. The journey through the valley had changed her. She was no longer just a young princess with a dream. She was a dreamer who had faced fire, storm, river, and shadow, and emerged stronger. Her father, King Elias, welcomed her back with pride. The court, however, was skeptical. Ministers whispered that the stone was nothing more than a trinket, and that building a castle of dreams was folly. But Sofia stood tall. She knew that dreams required not only vision, but also people willing to believe. So, she began to gather allies. Her first ally was the kingdom's master builder, Cedric. Though gruff and practical, his heart softened when Sofia showed him the Heartstone. "This is no ordinary gem," he admitted, eyes wide. "Its energy hums like the earth itself. With it, we could raise towers that defy time, but building a castle of hope will need more than my hands." Next, Sofia sought the musicians, painters, and storytellers of Everlea. She told them her vision of a place where creativity could bloom, where art would fill the halls, and laughter would echo in every chamber. They listened with shining eyes, for artists often understood dreams better than others. She visited the farmers, too, asking for their support. "A castle is not only for nobility," she said. "It is for your children, your families. It will be a home for joy, for celebration, for unity." Many agreed, their hearts moved by her sincerity. But not all were convinced. Some nobles scoffed at her, claiming resources should be spent on armies or riches. One lord sneered, "Castles are for defense, not childish fantasies. You will waste the kingdom's strength." Sofia did not argue. Instead, she showed them kindness, believing that time would open even the hardest hearts. As word spread, children from across the kingdom began to send her small gifts, painted stones, wildflowers, even letters scribbled in clumsy handwriting. "We believe in you, Princess Sofia," one letter read. "Build the castle, and we will come." These tokens filled Sofia with strength. She knew the castle was not hers alone. It belonged to every hopeful soul in Everlea. One evening, under the silver glow of the moon, Sofia stood before the Willow of Whispers once more. She pressed the Heartstone against its bark, and the golden leaf glowed faintly in her diary. The tree's branches swayed gently, as though blessing her efforts. "My dream has begun," Sofia whispered, "but I cannot build it alone." At that moment, a voice rose from the shadows. It was not cruel or mocking, but soft and curious. "You seek to build something that touches hearts, princess," said a cloaked figure. "Then you must also protect it. Dreams attract not only hope, but envy." The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with silver eyes and midnight hair. She introduced herself as Seraphina, a wanderer who had once traveled through lands filled with both wonder and darkness. "I will help you," Seraphina said, "for I see that your dream is pure. But beware, there are those who despise hope. They will try to destroy what you create." Sophia's heart tightened, but she nodded. She had always known her dream would be tested. And so, with builders, artists, farmers, and now a mysterious guardian by her side, Sophia began the work of building the castle of dreams. Stone by stone, vision by vision, the foundation of hope began to rise. The foundation of the castle of dreams rose proudly under the summer sun. Its walls shimmered faintly with the magic of the Heartstone, and laughter echoed across the fields as villagers came to help. Children painted murals on the stones, musicians filled the air with melodies, and the scent of fresh bread from farmers' ovens warmed the sight. For a time it seemed the castle itself breathed with joy. But where there is light, shadows always lurk. Rumors began to spread in the neighboring lands. Some kings and lords scoffed at Sophia's vision. "A castle of dreams?" they mocked. "Such foolishness will weaken Everlea. A kingdom must be built on steel, not songs." Dark whispers slithered into Everlea as well. A small faction of nobles grew jealous of Sophia's influence. They feared her dream would shift power away from them. Led by Lord Malrek, they plotted in secret. "This castle will make her beloved by all," Malrek sneered. "If the people worship her dream, what place is left for us? No, we must break her spirit before it is too late." At first, their sabotage was subtle. Supplies went missing, tools mysteriously broke, and workers began to doubt. Some nights, shadows crept near the construction, toppling stones or scrawling hateful words across half-finished walls. "Dreams will crumble." Sophia felt the weight of these troubles pressing against her heart. She stood at the foundation one twilight, her hands trembling as she touched the stone. For the first time she wondered if she had asked too much of her people. Seraphina appeared beside her, cloak billowing like night itself. "Do not falter, princess. Shadows thrive when you doubt your own light." "But what if they are right?" Sophia whispered. "What if dreams cannot stand against envy and fear?" Seraphina's silver eyes softened. "Then remember your trials. Earth gave you foundation. Water gave you adaptable. Mighty, air gave you vision, and fire gave you passion. These gifts were not given lightly. Use them." Strengthened by her words, Sophia called a gathering. Workers, artists, farmers, and children all assembled around the glowing Heartstone. "My friends," she said, her voice carrying across the crowd, "I will not pretend this path is easy. Shadows seek to break us, but dreams are stronger when shared. This castle is not mine. It is ours. Every stone, every brushstroke, every song belongs to you. Together, we will build what no shadow can destroy." The people cheered, their faith rekindled. Even those who had doubted found hope in her conviction. Yet Malrek and his allies were not done. One night, under a sky without stars, they crept toward the site with torches, intending to burn what had been built. But as they approached, the Heartstone pulsed with blinding light. Sophia, awakened by the glow, arrived to find the conspirators frozen, their torches extinguished by an unseen force. The guardians' voices whispered faintly through the wind. Dreams defended by truth cannot be undone by envy. Malrek fled in shame, his followers scattering. From that night on, the workers knew the castle was truly protected, not just by stone and hands, but by a spirit greater than all. Still, Sophia's journey was not over. The walls stood tall, but the heart of the castle, the great hall where all would gather, remained unfinished. And she knew that before it could be completed, one final trial awaited, a test not of her strength or vision, but of her very soul. The final phase of construction loomed, and anticipation filled the air. Towers gleamed under the sun, courtyards bloomed with gardens, and bridges arched gracefully across crystal streams. Yet the castle's heart, the great hall, remained incomplete. Sofia knew that the great hall was more than stone and wood. It was to be the soul of the castle, a place where all could gather, dream, and celebrate. To finish it, she felt she must offer something beyond magic and labor. One evening she returned to the Willow of Whispers. She placed the heartstone at its roots and whispered, "The castle is nearly complete, but the Hall of Dreams remains empty. What more must I give?" The tree shimmered, and a voice filled her mind. "Every dream requires sacrifice. To fill the hall, you must give a piece of your own heart." Sofia trembled. A piece of her heart? Could she truly surrender such a part of herself? But deep within, she knew the truth. Dreams that endure are built not only with effort, but with selfless love. The next morning, she gathered the people. "To finish the castle, I must make a sacrifice," she told them. "This hall will not be built from stone alone, but from my love for you, for this kingdom, and for every dreamer yet to come." She lifted the heartstone, holding it high. Its glow intensified until it bathed the crowd in golden light. Then, placing her hands over her chest, she whispered, "I give my heart to this dream." A warm light spread from her chest into the heartstone, and for a moment she felt a deep ache, as though part of her essence had been given away. The heartstone pulsed, brighter than ever before, and from its radiance the great hall began to rise. Walls of light solidified into marble, windows of starlight stretched high, and a ceiling of crystal arched overhead. Murals painted themselves across the walls, images of hope, unity, and joy. The eight all glowed with life, every corner echoing with laughter and song. The people gasped in wonder. Children danced, musicians played, and farmers wept with joy. The Castle of Dreams stood complete, its heart shining with Sofia's sacrifice. King Elias embraced his daughter, pride shining in his eyes. "You have done what many could not, my Sofia. You have built not only a castle, but a legacy." Serafina smiled gently, her silver eyes glimmering. "You have proven that dreams can become reality, not through power or wealth, but through love and sacrifice." Sofia looked around, her heart lighter despite what she had given. The great hall was alive, not because of her alone, but because every person had contributed, every laugh, every stone, every note of music. From that day forward, the Castle of Dreams became a beacon. Travelers from distant lands came to see its wonders. Children filled its halls with laughter, artists filled its walls with beauty, and families found joy within its gates. The shadows that once threatened it grew silent, for the castle stood as proof that dreams, once shared, could not be destroyed. And as Sofia stood at the highest tower, gazing across Everlea, she whispered, "May this castle remind the world that no dream is too small, no heart too weak, and no hope too fragile to become real." The wind carried her words across the land, and the Castle of Dreams stood forever, a living monument to courage, kindness, and the power of believing.